There we go. All right. Again, hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Sydney, and I am your wellness tech here with the county. And today's webinar is going to be about social media and how to navigate it for the purposes of your health. This is a little bit different of a topic than I normally do and that we normally talk about, but social media absolutely impacts how we view our health and health in general. So I wanted to talk about it for a minute. So, kind of the agenda for today, we're just going to talk about the impact that social media has on fitness and health in general, the good parts of it, because there are absolutely some good parts of it, the not so good parts of it, how you can make kind of educated choices, so what to avoid, and then tips for navigating social media. So, impact. If you're in this webinar, I'm sure you've come across your fair share of health, wellness, or fitness related content on any type of platform. And we'll talk about the different platforms in a second, but I'm sure you've seen it out there. And it can be really inspiring, seeing all of these people on their different journeys or seeing all of this information. But it can also be overwhelming, sometimes misleading, and it can also sometimes make you feel negatively about yourself. So we're going to look at some of the impacts that social media has had on health and fitness. So 1 in 3 people have tried a fitness or nutrition related trend that they found on social media. Not a good or a bad thing, but it definitely speaks to the influence that social media has. Women are more likely to follow kind of a fitness hack than men are. Gen Z leads the charge on social media influence with health and fitness, followed by millennials, Gen X, and then finally baby boomers. The relationship between social media use and negative body image does exist. Now, it doesn't exist for everybody, nor do I want it to exist for everybody, but it is shown in multiple studies that as your social media usage increases, as well, so does the negative body image that you have. And then finally, about 65% of people do some research before buying supplements, but out of that 65%, only 3% consult certified health and fitness professionals, which is a very small percentage, arguably. And then it kind of presents the question, okay, where are they looking for this information? The top sources for fitness advice: YouTube, online, kind of other than social media. So think forums, think like Healthline or some other like Women's Health magazine. So other online article forums. Family or friends is also up there. So word of mouth, which is also huge kind of in this realm. TikTok has definitely risen up there as well. Personal trainer, coach, followed by Instagram, Twitter, and then Reddit. And does this feel about right for you guys? Like, do you guys go to these platforms for fitness advice, or are there other platforms not listed on here that you use to take a look at? Anita, yeah, you use these ones. These are definitely popular ones. I mean, they're easy to use as well, so it definitely makes sense. Penny, same. Yeah, I do as well. I love TikTok. There may be some differences in generations, but YouTube is also, I mean, I frequent YouTube all the time as well. Awesome. So, the good stuff, the good part of social media, because personally, I love social media. I use it all the time. I post on it, I interact with it. I love it. So, I want to kind of start this off by highlighting the positives of this, because by no means is this a webinar to push you away from using social media. It's just to push you to use social media smartly. So first and foremost, it can be motivating. So it's super motivating when you see people celebrating their wins, they finish difficult workouts, they hit personal records, or even sharing awesome new healthy recipes as well. You're like, oh, that kind of sparks a motivation in you to try your own, or to kind of embark on your own journey, or just to do new things. Speaking of new things, new ideas. So What you see on the internet can spark new ideas that can help keep you from getting bored with your routine, whether that's a new recipe or a workout challenge, recovery tip, whatever it may be. Also, if you're newer to the fitness world, it can be a hub of information at your fingertips if you know how to navigate it well. Community is a huge part of social media. It can help people find similar and then like-minded communities, especially for those who may not have local or in-person support. So maybe you don't have a support system or a group of people around you who are really interested in health and fitness, or maybe you don't have friends who are super interested in this. Social media can really help you find a community of like-minded people to help support you in your journeys. Representation is a huge one. This is a huge one for me personally. So, social media can provide visibility for people of all body types, abilities, goals, ages, and backgrounds in fitness. And diversity in fitness is so incredibly important because it shows that health doesn't just have one look. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But I know representation, like I said, for me and for others, is a huge aspect of social media because it's important to see people like you doing things that you want to do because you're like, oh, okay, I can do that. There's no reason I can't. Someone who looks exactly like me is able to do it. So representation is huge. And then finally, for the most part, low cost. So many personal trainers, registered dietitians, physical therapists, and other healthcare professionals share high quality education for free on their social media platforms. And this free content can really help you get started with fitness in a safe and educated way, and also makes fitness accessible because you have access to these resources pretty much as long as you have your phone on you. There have been many times in the gym trying something out new, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Let me check a quick, form video or whatever. And it's literally access at your fingertips. You don't really have to go and grab like one of the personal trainers at the gym if you're not comfortable with that. You can just look it up on your phone. The not so good part. Now, I want to keep our positives in mind because these not so good things definitely do not outweigh the good of social media. But it is important to touch on these, especially when trying to navigate social media and learning kind of like what should I avoid, what should I look out for, and what should I even be taking away from looking at social media. So information overload. I know we just talked about how great having access to all this information is, but with thousands of fitness trends and even conflicting advice online, it can be super overwhelming to know what is actually helpful, what is actually true for you. Too much information can lead to this idea of paralysis by analysis, which kind of makes it harder to take action on health goals. Think of it as you have so much information, you're overthinking, and you're like, you know what, forget it. I'm not even going to do it. And that's kind of what this overload does. And I know plenty of people have come to me being like, well, I heard this on TikTok. Is this true? And while there might be some truth to it, there might also not be. So it is always good to kind of be critical with this information and be like, okay, I heard this one thing, I've never heard it before. Let me search it up on my own and see what's going on, see what other people are saying about it. The highlights, this can be a good and a bad thing, depending on how you interpret it. So most people, whether it be influencers or just everyday people, they are going to post their best moments online. And there's nothing wrong with that. But by doing so, you don't post the struggles, the failures, unfiltered reality, which can end up creating kind of a distorted view of what fitness journeys should look like, making it seem like progress happens faster and easier than it actually does. You may see somebody and you're like, okay, they're hitting their squats super easy. They can do lunges super easy, but I'm struggling. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Fitness and health is hard. It is hard for everybody. What you see online is just the moment where you can perform. So it is picture perfect and it is filtered and it's edited, but just understand that fitness does not come without its struggles, but that this content is given to you to appeal to you. You know, people want you to see it and they want you to think highly of them. So a good and a bad thing, good and a bad thing. Clickbait kind of sits more on the not so good side for sure. So social media definitely thrives on engagement, you know, so it's leading to exaggerated claims like, and I'm sure you've seen them, lose 20 pounds in a week or one exercise to get six-pack abs. You kind of have these really clickbaity titles that it got your attention. It did what it was supposed to do. So many fitness influencers actually prioritize views over accuracy, and that is not everybody by any means. But you see the videos that have millions of views, they have millions of views for a reason, which can end up spreading myths or even unproven methods. Pressure, again, arguably not so good. So this constant exposure to extreme workouts, diet challenges, like these miracle teas and unrealistic information can make people feel like they're not doing enough. This pressure can lead to burnout, guilt, or even unhealthy habits instead of sustainable wellness habits. So you may see somebody online who looks perfect in every single video, who is able to get through their workout flawlessly, and you're like, okay, why am I not like this? There's probably a ton of different reasons that go into it. One, it's probably this person's job to do this and perform like this, whereas this is something that you're working towards. There's so many differences behind it that could be why, you know, you don't match the person on the screen, and that's okay. But again, understanding that at some point everybody struggles with fitness, and that's perfectly fine. It just looks different for everybody. And then lastly, kind of going along with pressure, seeing influencers with idealized bodies or even athletes hitting personal bests daily can create unrealistic expectations within yourself. So, comparing yourself to others on social media can lead to a negative self image, discouragement, and feelings of an inadequacy, even when you're making real progress to you. So, what's that saying where it's like, comparison is the thief of joy? That is exactly what this is. Your journey is not going to look identical to anybody else's. Your lifts, you in the gym, your run, this, whatever you want to do, will most likely not look identical to anybody else's because we are all different. And that is what makes us us. And that is perfectly fine. It's just understanding that and not letting, easier said than done, not letting it get to you is the important part. So, a couple of things, big things, what to avoid. So, this is our education piece to it. So, we know social media, we love her, sometimes we hate her. What are some big things and big triggers that are like, okay, this is not the content for me? A big one that I see, especially towards women, is content that preys on insecurities. So, terms like bat wings, referring to the undersides of your arm, or office butt or muffin tops. These phrases are designed to make you feel bad about completely normal parts of the body and then sell you a fix. Fitness is not about targeting problem areas or eliminating flaws. It's about strength, health, feeling good in your own skin. So instead of falling for content that fuels and preys on your insecurity, engage in content and creators who promote kind of this body neutral, strength focused, and sustainable approach to movement and wellness. Again, I see this so much in content directed towards women because like we saw on the first slide, women are more likely to engage in these kind of fitness hacks. So the internet knows that, social media knows that, and they're going to try everything they can to promote this content to you so that you engage in it. When it comes to things like those terms that we talked about, and I don't know if any of you guys have been in my other webinars, you can't spot reduce a certain area. You can't just fix one area, because when you exercise, when you work out, when you move your body, it affects your entire body. There are certain things that you can do to grow a muscle, like just one particular muscle. But again, what kind of joy is that going to bring you? And is that sustainable? Are you just going to do tricep extensions for the next 2 months every single day? No. So this type of content is not for you, and nor is it good for you in the long term. Unrealistic transformations, so dramatic before and after photos, often don't show the full story. So factors like lighting, posing, Photoshop even can mislead people. Sustainable fitness takes time, and quick fix results are often temporary and unhealthy. So you may be on Instagram or on YouTube and you see this photo of one woman right next to another and you see this drastic difference. And you're like, oh, gonna click on that, see what's going on. And it may be an ad for a detox tea. Is that realistic? No, not at all. So be wary of these transformations that are targeted to get you engaged in them. Speaking of that same kind of detox tea, extreme diets and trends, bad diets, excessive restriction, or extreme workout challenges can do more harm than good. Health is about balance and consistency, not following short term, unsustainable trends that can lead to burnout, injury, or make you ill. And then, kind of finally rounding it off here, another kind of thing to be wary of. I don't want to say entirely avoid. So many influencers, pages, videos promote products for profit. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if they believe in that product. But be wary or be skeptical, I should say, of detox teas, waist trainers, miracle supplements. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Additionally, even if you trust an influencer, say you have your favorite person that you go to for all of the workouts and they start promoting something and, use my code for this or click on the link for this. That's okay. If you want to support them financially, go for it. But it is always best to do your own research before purchasing something. This kind of goes with anything, but especially when it comes to your health and your fitness, take a second, be like, okay, I hear you. I'm going to take 10 minutes, open up my own browser, and just Google a little bit, see what's going on, pros, cons, everything. I mean, you should be doing that for most things anyway, but it's important to do your own research in an unbiased way. Penny, I was contemplating the waist trainer on TikTok, and that's fair. And there is, and I'll kind of go off on a little side tangent here. There is kind of an interesting argument when it comes to waist trainers, not for spot reduction, so not for really slimming the waist, but actually core control. So when you have a waist trainer tight enough, it can kind of force you to stay, to like keep your abs contracted pretty much. It's used a lot by bodybuilders for that reason, but for everyday people, it is not going to give you an hourglass figure. Unfortunately, that is going to come from diet and exercise. But it's easy to get caught up in stuff like that, especially when you see a really cool video of somebody using it and you're like, okay, I want to try that and or I want to look like you, so I'm going to go for it. Take a second, do your own research. All right. And then to kind of finish off today, it's going to be tips for navigating social media healthily. So in a safe way, so that you can still engage, like I said, with the awesome and the good parts of social media while being somewhat critical. I don't want to turn you guys into pessimists by any means, but I do want you to be critical and have those critical thinking skills. So determine what your personal goals are so that you are less inclined to follow random trends from someone else. So, for example, if somebody is doing, I don't know, sprints every day to lose 20 pounds in a week, okay? Say you want to start following that. Do you even want to be a runner? Do you want to sprint? What are your personal goals? Is that something that you are even interested in, or do you just see weight loss rapid, go for it? Take a second, assess what you personally want, be critical of it, understand that sustainable changes happen, but take your time with it. So this stuff too good to be true, it absolutely is. Like I said, getting results takes time, and it can take even longer if you are constantly switching up your exercise based on things you may not even want to do, but rather because you were encouraged by someone else. So, and that kind of goes into, if you keep following trends, it can take you longer to achieve the goals that you want. Sometimes exercise is boring. Sometimes fitness is boring because your body has to get used to the stimulus and adapt to what you're doing. And then it can get stronger. So you may have to squat every week if you want a stronger lower body, but you increase weight. Maybe not every week, maybe every 2 weeks or something along those lines. So being consistent is really going to be more helpful than kind of jumping all over the place, switching plan to plan, this, that, and the other. So focus on health versus aesthetics. For years, we have been told that fitness looks a certain way. But the truth is, being healthy does not just have one look. It is about having the strength to lift, carry, and move through life with confidence, with safety. It's the endurance to get through your day without feeling drained. It's the mobility to be able to move comfortably without pain or discomfort. Plus, staying active has a huge impact on mental health, helping with stress and overall well being. And here's the thing, fitness can look different on absolutely everyone. So instead of chasing a certain appearance, think of aesthetics as just a bonus of taking care of your body, but not the main goal. Unless you are a bodybuilder, aesthetics should be a bonus because if you're chasing aesthetics, that is always going to be changing. Whereas your main goal of being healthy, enjoying life through movement, finding a movement that you enjoy, that's the goal. Balancing social media usage. So this kind of goes back to that body image and social media use conversation that we were just having. So, research shows that cutting back on social media can actually help improve how you feel about your own appearance. It is so incredibly easy to compare ourselves to the people that we see online, which can leave you feeling less confident about your own life. And this is not even just body image. Like I said, if you see somebody maybe constantly in the gym, that could go maybe one of two ways. You may feel inspired and you're like, okay, I'm going to hit the gym today. Or it may make you feel bad. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to the gym today. They're doing more than me. I'm not doing something right. So this is really personal to you. And it also ties back to the idea of highlights. So most people only post their best moments, not the struggles behind the scenes. So if you find yourself feeling down, feeling bad about yourself after scrolling for a while, it might be a good time to check in on your own social media habits. Breaking that cycle can be super tough. We are in a world where we're all addicted to our phones, but small changes can really help. So if you're really struggling, maybe set app time limits. I think you can do that in your settings for all the apps, and it tells you, hey, you've reached 2 hours or something on YouTube, time to take a break. Or keep your phone across the room before bed to avoid that endless doom scrolling before you close your eyes. Or you can even swap to off-screen activities to go real world activities like hanging out with friends, swimming, taking a walk without your phone. Like I said, I know it's a struggle. This one is definitely personal depending on how you feel after you use social media because everybody's a little bit different. Also, content impacts people different ways as well. So just kind of listen to yourself, see what's going on with you. The information overload that we were talking about, this is the tip for that one. So if you are feeling overwhelmed by the fitness advice on social media, totally fair. But remember that nothing beats personalized professional guidance. So, certified personal trainers, registered dietitians, and healthcare professionals can provide science backed advice tailored to your needs. Social media can be a wonderful, wonderful resource of inspiration, information, but when it comes to your specific health, it is always best to rely on experts over influencers. Now, those influencers may have certifications under their belt, so you need to look for that. Go into people's little bios where they have the information about themselves. Do they have certifications? Do they have the education to talk to you about what they're talking to you about? Or are they just a very aesthetically pleasing person, kind of regurgitating things that you see on the internet all the time? Again, critical thinking there. Engaging in positive communities. So, again, join communities that emphasize support, positivity, and shared goals. You do not have to settle for content that does not resonate with you. It may take a little bit of effort, but once you start seeking out content that matters to you, social media kind of does their thing with their algorithms, and more content like that will be recommended to you. So, maybe you are not interested in seeing people do mat Pilates. Stop engaging with content about mat Pilates. Again, you may have to go seeking out those communities, and it can be kind of difficult at first. But like I said, once you start getting into it, that content should get recommended to you more and more over time. And then lastly, along the similar vein of communities, is just being mindful of the people that you follow and engage with. If you follow a certain person, but they make you feel bad about yourself rather than inspire you, maybe just take a break from their content. Maybe you really like their personality, but you don't feel that great after viewing their content. Take a break for a second. Social media can be difficult to navigate because there's so much out there, but that is also the beauty of it. So it's kind of a double edged sword. If you don't like someone's content, it is so easy to move on and find something that appeals specifically to you, makes you feel good about yourself, and even encourages you to engage in healthy habits of your own. And kind of just as a final reminder, use social media for inspiration, not comparison. You are not supposed to look like someone else. You are supposed to be the best version of yourself. And that can look like so many different things. So, final notes: social media is a fantastic resource for health and fitness, but be critical of the content that you see. Do your own research, find credible sources such as certified personal trainers, registered dietitians, other healthcare professionals that are vocal and advertise their education and their credentials on why they're talking about why they're talking about. And again, you don't have to engage in social media. If it makes you feel bad at any point, just turn it off. Step away for just a second because this is your life. And again, it does not compare to anybody else's. So that's all I have for you guys today. Do you guys have any questions kind of before we wrap up today? Not a super long presentation by any means. Again, just kind of a quick chit chat on how to approach social media by keeping your mental health intact, pretty much.